Folks, thank you so much for joining us again on Compass One Connections. I'm your host, Tommy Kane. And once again, we have a fantastic guest lined up for you today. Joining us on Compass One Connections today is Dr. Katie Boston-Leary from the American Nurses Association. She's the Director of Nursing Programs. She's also on a number of advisory boards, as well as a national speaker, consultant, and certified executive coach. Katie, thank you so much for joining us on Compass One Connections.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Of course, it's our honor. Katie, let's talk first and foremost just about the state of nursing these days. Obviously, this past year and a half has been unlike any other we've ever seen. The nurses are in the front line. They are truly the heroes, which the country is now starting to recognize more and more. But just talk to me about what you've seen, the impact of the COVID on the nurses and the nursing profession in general.
Yeah, it's definitely really put us in this inflection point, if you will. We've always been concerned about the profession and the workforce, if you will, in terms of their state of well-being. We know people in the nursing profession are one of the most unhealthiest, which is why we have Healthy Nurse, Healthy Nation. And then, so that was already something that we were concerned about, and we were having some work being, we had some efforts and initiatives as a result of Healthy Nurse, Healthy Nation, and then the pandemic hit, and it just accelerated and really, like gasoline to a fire, just lit this up in terms of how we have a lot more work to do. It's important to understand, as much as nurses are celebrated, because of all the things that nurses struggle with, nurses don't necessarily feel appreciated as much as they would like. And as much as nurses are the most trusted profession, nurses don't necessarily feel that they're the most respected either. So there are so many things. And if you really look at the data, it also shows that there's a lot of concerns about work, the work environment, practice, and things like that. So the pandemic just pushed everything up to the forefront. And because of the protracted nature of the pandemic, right? When you're in an emergency state and it just keeps going on and on and on and on, in this case for over a year, then you have burnout and you have the mental health toll that nurses are experiencing. So there's so many factors and so many issues that we have a lot of work to do.
You hit on so many subjects, and I'm so excited you did, because we're going to continue to discuss those. But let's talk first and foremost just about the recognition of nurses. I know right now, and where we're recording this is at the end of May, and this whole month has been Nurses Month across the board, across the country. And it's really set up to bring awareness to the nursing profession and to kind of also support the nurses and say, hey, we're here. We know you guys are doing a great job. I mean, there's one week which is all about self-care. There's another week that's all about recognition, which you alluded to. There's the third week is professional development, and the fourth week is community engagement. 4 pillars that are really, really strong and important for nurses, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And those are key areas that not only continue to identify what nurses do in terms of how they pour into communities, but how they can pour into themselves to be better, not just as clinicians, but also be better as human beings, better mothers, fathers, you name it. And also identifying the need for us to have more diversity in nursing, which is something that we have to focus on as well.
Folks, we're going to step aside from our conversation with Katie for just a few minutes, because recently I had a chance to speak with Ahynna Slaughter. Ahynna works at the VA hospital in Long Beach, California, and has been a nurse for 30 years. So who better to talk about the impact of a Healthy Nurse, Healthy Nation initiative?
I think that we have to take self-care seriously and stop putting ourselves on the back end. And I'm even saying this to myself because I do the same thing, is that, okay, put it in a plan. What are we going to do to be healthy?
And that all ties in with the Healthy Nurse, Healthy Nation initiative, correct?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Can you expand upon that just a little bit for me with the Healthy Nurse, Healthy Nation and that whole movement?
Well, it's just the concept of you have to take care of yourselves. We can't just say, hey, patient, you got to do X, Y, Z to be healthy, but then we turn around and we're not getting exercise. We're not getting rest. We're not doing things that promote wellness. And so to be role models. The Healthy Nurse Healthy Nation is a movement to showcase that we too need to do that for ourselves and to be a role model.
Yeah, no doubt. And especially with all the stress and everything else that the nurses do on a day-to-day basis, and the work schedule and the hours they put in and whatnot, like just making sure they take some time to keep themselves rested and fed well and exercising. And that ultimately improves their job and how they perform in their job. And it ultimately improves the health of the person, thus the healthy nation. So just good stuff all the way around. And now let's rejoin our conversation with Dr. Katie Boston-Leary. You mentioned a very key word just a few seconds ago, collaboration. And there is a great collaboration and a strategic partnership between Compass One Healthcare and the ANA, the American Nurses Association. Talk to me a little bit about that, what that means to the ANA to have that collaboration and the support from somebody like Compass, and just what it means on the day-to-day life for those nurses to know that the food service people, the environmental service people, everybody's kind of there to support each other and know that, hey, we're here to help you guys as much as possible with your job.
Absolutely. So nurses, as much as I talked earlier about needing to be appreciated and recognized, we know we can't do this alone. We know that we need partners. We need organizations like Compass One. We need the professionals that Compass One also supports and lifts up, food service workers, environmental services, because we need those groups. And that was very, groups of professionals. And that was very evident during the pandemic when, those needs are still there. They don't stop. And in some cases, nurses worked with those partners, and I used to call them FONs, Friends of Nursing, in my past, where we would actually, during Nurses Week, would recognize a FON and give them an award for the support that they've given nursing for the year previously.
Very cool. Okay.
So it's important, these relationships, and particularly our relationship with Compass One helps highlight the partnership, the collaboration, and the interdisciplinary nature of our practice, where it's some parts of it that makes the whole. It's not one more than the other. So Compass One brings a lot of data, research, a lot of information that helps make nursing better. And they work collaboratively with nursing, particularly with ANA, to inform a lot of what they're working on in terms of their data and best practices and evidence-based practices that they highlight. So those are all the things that we support. Not to mention, they're a great partner with Healthy Nurse Healthy Nation, which we're very proud of and we're excited about. And it's one of the partnerships that I really treasure as a director of Healthy Nurse Healthy Nation.
Yeah, let's talk more about Healthy Nurse Healthy Nation. I know you alluded to it earlier on, with especially during this pandemic and trying to keep the nurses healthy, but really making them pay attention to their own well-being, whether it be getting enough sleep, eating correctly, taking the time to just mentally unwind and step away from your job. Let's talk more about that. And from your standpoint, how important is that? And where are we going with this? Is it really starting to get a foothold? Are the nurses starting to understand how important it is?
We hope so. We are seeing, and we did some listening sessions at the critical point of the pandemic when things were really starting to see some apex activity in terms of surges and infections and hospitalizations and deaths. And we did some listening sessions, and we heard from nurses actually making the effort and realizing that if they didn't do some things differently or added some self-care activities to their day or to their lifestyle, they would be at the point of breaking. So we heard a lot of stories from nurses that were losing weight, taking up different activities like swimming, exercising regularly. We track those stories in Healthy Nurse Healthy Nation, and there are wonderful stories that we've heard during the pandemic, actually, where it's been a turning point for a lot of individuals, particularly nurses. And I think everyone can relate to the fact that this experience, where we were so vulnerable, has led us to think about what's more important. And some of the things that we thought were important, maybe not so much. So most importantly, we're focusing on taking care of themselves, and we're seeing that in nurses. So that's something that we are really excited about, but we don't want it to stop. We want it to continue. We want it to be built on, and that's part of what we're doing in Healthy Nurse Healthy Nation.
Yeah, and then to have, like you said, to have a collaboration and a partnership there with Compass One, who's supporting that whole initiative as well, that's got to be even more impactful, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. Compass One has been a very um, willing partner to understand the landscape, and we help with providing intelligence, if you will, or some situational awareness about where nurses are, and they really collaborate with us as well in terms of what they publish and what they disseminate in terms of how we can be better together. And that's one of the things I love about the Compass One relationship.
Well, I know Compass One, and we enjoy being part of the helping you guys out as a strategic partner of the ANA, because we know that the nurses are so important to the overall success of hospitals and people getting healthy. And we're glad and honored to be there to support you guys and to help those nurses. But before I let you go today, I have got to put you on the Compass One Connections hot seat. Have you heard about this hot seat before? What this is?
I've been put in hot seats many times in my career, so um, but,
Well,
but to be on camera during these types of events is a little
that's okay. That's
but it's
okay. You
okay.
you will
I
do
think I
just
can do
fine.
it.
So I'm going to put 60 seconds on the clock, Katie, and we're just going to ask you some fun questions to get to know Dr. Katie Boston-Leary a little more. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, we're going to start the clock. First question for you. Favorite TV show of all time?
Ooh, I will say The Office.
The Office. Favorite vacation spot?
I will say Hawaii.
Favorite celebrity?
Beyonce.
Have you ever broken a bone before, Dr. Katie?
Actually, I have not. Interestingly, no.
Pretty impressive. Would
Yeah.
you ever go skydiving?
I'm back and forth on that one, so I'll say yes and no.
Okay. Your favorite hobby?
Favorite hobby is, I'll say reading.
Reading. Favorite
Yeah.
book of all time? What's your
Oh,
favorite book?
Switch by the Heath brothers.
Do you speak other languages?
Yes.
What do you
Creole. My parents are West African, so I spent 8 years of my life in Sierra Leone, and I can speak Creole, particularly when when I'm upset. I really do well.
And look at that, the timer goes off just in time. That's awesome. So basically, I know, Katie, that if you start talking Creole around me, then you're mad at me or mad at somebody.
Yeah, but I don't get mad often. I think self-care, right?
That's right.
I'm
That's
able
right.
to take care of that, and I don't get to that point.
Well, Katie, thank you so much for joining us on Compass One Connections podcast. We are thrilled to have you, and thank you for taking the time, and continued luck with all the Healthy Nurse, Healthy Nation initiative and everything you guys are doing with the ANA. And we are proud to be strategic partners with you guys. So thank you.
Thank you, Tommy. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
You're welcome.